Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. This is Rudrani Davy, your host of the Get Happy podcast. Are you ready to get your happy on? I'm so excited about my next two guests. I got to spend some time, I got to live with them shortly when we were at the Global Foundation. And I'm so excited about this couple, Deborah and Mr. Dan, the man who I got to borrow. And that's part of what this conversation is going to be about. Because you guys, here's actually a married couple that likes each other, right? And both in Access. And so without further ado, well, I think they like each other. That's what I witnessed, and I enjoyed their company so much and their generosity of spirit. And without further ado, please, Miss Deborah, would you start off and tell the people who you be and what you do?
Yes. So my name is Deborah Brzycki. I am first and foremost a certified facilitator for Access Consciousness. New for me, about just almost 2 years ago. So this will be my second time renewing that certification. I am the broker for our small real estate team that has been going on for about the past 4 years. We, as a real estate team, are also going to be starting up our own property management business shortly. I still work in healthcare. That has been my primary thing since I was young. That was my initial college degree. So I actually work in anesthesia. I have an advanced practice degree as a nurse, but do anesthesia for a living about 20 hours a week, and have been able to create a very similar income to what I used to do when I was working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So,
oh, wow. How does it get any better than that?
Yes, yes. And then I am just about ready to complete my 18th year as an Army reservist.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
People, okay, for those of you that can actually see her, 18 years, she's winning, right?
And with this guy here for
21 years.
No, it's longer than that.
Well, actually,
we have a 22-year-old son.
So, yeah, 22 years.
So I think like it's more like 23, 24.
Gotcha. All right. I'm glad somebody knows. So, Mr. Dan, tell us a little bit about you. What's your story, Morning Glory?
Yep. So basically, I'm a full-time realtor here in the Tampa area, like Deb described. And pretty much, yeah, I do that full-time. I'm an ex-master electrician, ex-electrical contractor, and creator of Magnitude. So basically, I am a bars facilitator as well, and have been to a lot of Access classes, and excited to kind of progress forward and eventually get my CF as well. So I think that's in my near future. I know that that's in my near future. Just gonna work towards that as quickly as I can. So really, that's a little bit about us in a nutshell. We've been married a while, and we've been probably doing Access full time, I would say, within the last
5 years.
Yeah, probably 5-6 years or so.
Wow.
We've been a little bit longer, but we really just wanted to become, more conscious and more aware, and start really utilizing the tools a lot more, not only in our lives, not only in our marriage, but to help other people as well.
I love it. And for those of you that don't know, CF stands for Certified Facilitator. And so these are my comrades in crime of Access Consciousness. We're in 189 countries now. Did you guys know that? It's amazing. I remember when I first was introduced to Access, it was 2003, and we were only in Australia and the Americas, and I believe we were just dipping a toe into Italy, and now we're all over the place. So how did the two of you find out about Access? Do y'all have an Access story?
Of course, who doesn't?
Oh, please share. I'm always curious to know.
So I kind of dragged him into Access. I was introduced to it probably about 8 or 9 years ago. And it's not because I was looking for it. It was actually a really good friend of mine who was one of the recovery room nurses that I worked with. And I was doing some pretty competitive triathlons at that time. I had a very intense coach and was really all in. And it was taking a bit of a toll on my body. And also I was working at that time I don't even know how many hours a week. It was a full-time job. I was on call every third night, every third weekend. So I was gone a lot. And when I was on call, I spent probably 90% of the time at the hospital. So it was, 24-hour shifts. It was a lot. And so I had suffered a minor injury with my training in one of my legs. And this nurse, she's like, why don't you come over to my house and let me do this thing to you so you can relax a little bit?
And do this thing to you, and you're like, sure, okay.
I love this lady. She is probably, when you talk about generosity of spirit, she's just one of those people that she's just looking out for you.
Yeah.
And so I went to her house and she laid me down on this chaise lounge and she's like, all you gotta do is just lay there. And I was like, okay. And so she ran my bars for the first time. And when she finished that first bar session, I was like, what in the hell just happened? Like, I don't even know like where I am or what's going on. And so from that point, we kind of, you know how it is. Once you know how to learn, run bars, you run bars for other people. So I had gone through a class and I was running bars for Dan, but you're like, I want my bars run,
Right.
My available. So then I'm like, Dan, you're going to a class. So Dan grabbed his mom and they went to a bars class and learned how to do the technique together. And it's been one of those things that has just really changed our world. And I know we hear that a lot from people that are introduced to the bars. And it's so difficult to describe how life-changing it truly can be. But it has given us so much more space and so much more ease, even in our marriage and our relationship. And I know like years ago, like if I was like in that cranky state, Dan would be like, go for a run. You need to go for a run. And now if I'm in that state, he's like, you need to let me run your bars.
I love it. Yeah, I would always run it off if I got angry or in my past.
Yes.
I'm a runner as well. I'm a marathon runner, not triathlon. Oh my goddess. But yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Access Bars is the first modality in Access Consciousness. Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, actually created it. And it's 32 points on the head that when you hold your hands in these different configurations actually diminishes these thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you've either aligned and agreed with or resisted and reacted to. So your body, it's like having the best massage with your clothes on. It just gets rid of
I imagine my clothes off, but I like clothes on are good too.
Well, I imagine the two of you, I don't know, have you ever run your bars naked?
Maybe.
That's for another conversation.
Yes. If we weren't doing this on YouTube, just maybe. All righty then. Well, that's fabulous. That's kind of the way I discovered it as well. Gary and Dane were here at a friend of mine's house doing a class in his living room. I'm happy to say that Access Consciousness started in Nashville, or at least there was a community here at one time in Nashville, Tennessee. And Kent Blasey had him as a guest at his house. And there was a woman there that I ended up connecting with, and we started trading sessions because at the time I was doing psychic readings. And so I would do a reading for her and she would run my bars. And this is like 2003. And I would literally, she put her hands on my head and I would just, and I'd wake up later and look at my watch because I couldn't believe an hour and a half had gone by. And things are a little different now, but it used to knock me out. So by all means, none of you look up bars online and find out what that's about. Access.
If you've never had your bars run, you need to get them run.
Yeah.
You need to get in front of someone nearby, wherever you live in this world, and get them ran. Period.
Absolutely. You can go to accessconsciousness.com, enter in wherever it is you live, and I pretty much guarantee you're going to find someone pretty close.
Yeah. Just call Woody. She's ready.
Rue is always ready. So please, don't contact me. All right. Well, this is called the Get Happy podcast. It stemmed from this little yellow book.
Yes.
Woo! My producer actually was my very first interview with this book. And he came to me a year later and said, you have to do a podcast. You just have to. And now it speaks 2 other languages. We've got Portuguese and Spanish, and it's being translated into Russian right now because evidently the Russians want to get happy. I was surprised to hear that, but that's true. So
Okay.
my question to you guys is, how do you get your happy on? What's that look like for you?
Go ahead.
How polite they are. Oh, honey, you go first.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Number one, I think it comes in many different forms, shapes, and sizes. What is I think happiness and being happy is different for absolutely everybody. And for us, I think it's just this space that we've learned thanks to Access and thanks to the bars and thanks to everything that literally all the tools that Access provides. I think it's just that space that you can actually get into, that knowing that space is where, being aware that space is there is huge. And I think bars will help you get into that space, but most importantly, being happy for us, I think it's just that allowance of getting into that space of, what is it that's truly bothering me, or what is it that's pinging me at the moment, or what's truly going on in this reality that we have the tools to utilize for, and just kind of help us through life in general. Because when you wake up every morning, what are the first things on your mind, right? Work, coffee, whatever it may be. What if you can wake up every morning and just, exactly, I'll take some of that, please.
It's Lavazza. It's good coffee from Italy.
What if you can wake up every morning and just say to yourself, what grand and glorious adventures await me today? And just take your day from there. So I think it's a lot for everybody. For us, Deb can probably pinpoint a few different things, but for us, happiness is just being in allowance with one another, being in allowance with what direction we're moving in, and it's a lot. So I think that it's a question that we could have we need another hour on that whole question.
Probably write a book about it, couldn't you?
Right.
I mean, that
Yes.
book would go into lots of chapters and extra novels.
Yeah.
You keep mentioning tools. Maybe what are some of the tools that help you get out of the yuck, or get into that space of happy for you? Do you have a favorite tool or two? I mean, they're all my favorite.
Yeah, I think one of the most powerful tools. So 2 of the most powerful tools that I really lean on pretty heavily are really the mantra of Access, which is all life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. I mean, if you can say that 10 times literally in the morning, 10 times in the evening, and just kind of go through life every day saying that, you'll be shocked at the amazing things that will transform on a daily basis for you, literally. And I can swear by that from a business standpoint, and from marriage and relationship standpoint, and just a pure happiness standpoint. If it wasn't for that, I mean, because we ask for all these things that come into our life, right? But we never stop to think about, oh my God, well, I asked for this, now it's coming like a thorn in my ass, or I asked for this and it's coming with total ease, joy, and glory. So what if you really did ask? How can all things come to you with ease, joy, and glory, right? Because you never know how it's going to show up, but if you have that in your life, I think that's one of the most important tools. The other is really what space and consciousness can I be for whatever it is in your life, and put it in question form. That really started off as a business growing entity in question in my life and in our life from a business standpoint. And then we added the mantra on top of that just to kind of give it amplification. So, that's from where we function from a happiness standpoint, and just kind of going through life with all these other tools that are just as awesome.
I love it. I absolutely love that. And the thing about living in the question, because how many of us already assume that something is going to be a certain way because this reality has taught us that that's the way it is, and we can't get out of it. Like, this is my lot in life. But what if you could be that energy, space, and consciousness that could create and generate, or out-create and out-generate this reality? And what would that look like for you? So yeah, I love that.
You're leaning me on that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it literally makes me tingle with joy and happiness, because you can create when you really understand what that is doing or can do in your life. I mean, it can really dynamically change your life no matter what is happening in your life. You can change it in an instant.
That's right. Choice creates, y'all. And just like happiness, it's
just a choice.
Just a choice. Yeah. Those of you in podcast land, I know you can't see this, but I have all these props that I'm always playing with on these calls. That's why they're snickering at me, because I'm holding up a big hat that says, happiness is just
awesome.
Yeah, we need more of that.
My altar. I don't know if you can see my little lion up there. He's also got.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yes.
Great. So yeah, I love it. I love it. What about you, Deborah? Do you have a favorite tool or something? Or you can give us like a story of how a tool helped you get through something, or
it's interesting. Like, I kind of want to step back again when you asked like how we came to Access. So, I was introduced to the bars, and obviously at some point I decided to get into it further. So it took me a couple of years. Like it took pretty much our move to Florida 5 years ago for me to really start delving into more. And there are so many free resources out on YouTube, different facilitators, and I just started listening to different facilitators. And I think for me, like the biggest thing, so like I come from a very scientific background. I was never that person that was into anything metaphysical or crystals or any of that stuff. I was just like, this is what you get, what you see is what you get, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But I also knew, like, and I knew it, like, that is the biggest thing. It's like my knowing was there is more to this life than what is going on. And it's not that we had a bad life. I mean, we had a great life, we're both successful, all the stuff, the house, the kids, the dogs, blah, blah, blah. But there was always something missing. And once I started really, once I took my foundation class and really started using the tools, then I was like, this is what has been missing. And when you talk about happiness, like in my previous life, like before Access,
right?
If you would have asked me, are you happy? I would have been like, well, yeah, I'm happy. Like, what the hell kind of question is that?
So
and now it's like, yeah, like I am happy because you know what? I'm choosing to be happy every day. It's like you said, you can, and every morning it's like, I have different things that I do in the morning. The one thing that I usually do every morning is I destroy, uncreate all my relationships.
Yeah, same.
Including me.
Especially with him. And, every day I destroy and uncreate everything, my relationship with my family, my relationship with my work, my relationship with my body, my relationship with everything. And having the ability to not haul all the crap from your past around with you is life altering. It really
freeing. It sounds like so much space when you say it.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge amount of space. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like I moved my mom in with me last November, and I destroy and create with her on the daily, and usually more than once a day. Like when she walks away and the sink is still running, and I'm like, lady, you didn't cut off. Yes, I did. It's, and the thing is we're actually really great roommates. She's amazing. I know you guys have actually heard her voice because I've called her and I put her on speakerphone so everybody can get a good laugh at us. But our relationship has grown in a much deeper, spacious way. And she doesn't even do Access. She's taken, I've been sneaky and I've gotten her to take 2 bars classes because I'll tell her, I'm a person short, Mom. Would you mind filling in for me?
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So now I've got to get her to a foundation class, which you mentioned, and you guys listening, foundation is like the first class. Bars is a prerequisite, but that's kind of the first class of Access to really get into these tools, and it's not really what people assume it is. It's not like building a foundation for a house. It's actually crumbling the foundation that you've bought as your story in this reality. And what if everything you thought was real and true for you wasn't?
Right.
And that's kind of the first step to discovering that and discovering you, getting back to you. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. So you take foundation And then what's your life like? You're like, okay, I'm genuinely happy.
Right.
And what else?
What else is possible?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love it. I love it. Well, if you wanted to leave these people, because I could talk to you forever and a day, and I've loved this conversation, and I love the two of you so much. I love you so much. Hugs and all the things. And so and I loved watching the way the two of you are together. So if you were going to give I don't know, leave our listeners with something as a couple, what could work for them? Because there's people out there that their relationships aren't working, whether it's with their mother, their lover, their brother, all the things, all the people, their animals, who knows? What would you recommend or suggest or?
Tim, I'll let you start first on that one.
Well,
Ladies first.
That's right. What such a gentleman. Gentleman Dan.
I think the first thing when you're really looking at those relationships is you have to have that relationship with yourself first.
Yes.
Most importantly. And, we can get into the 5 elements of intimacy briefly if you'd like to, but you've got to have that relationship with yourself in order to really have allowance in other relationships.
True story. I've talked about the 5 elements on several of these calls, but I do like diving into, it's like I taught a 1-day class for Right Voice for You yesterday online, and we dipped into the 5 elements. And the thing that I found most interesting was this piece about vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't have that vulnerability with you,
Yeah.
how are you going to have it with your partner or with the world? Because
Right.
they felt so vulnerable getting on stage,
Yes.
and having.
Yeah, it's a gift. I mean, it's a gift to show the world, but we make it a fear. The fear implant comes in, and we're like, oh God, if everybody knew, and then judgment sets in, and then we start going into this box that we put ourselves in. But yeah, not to go.
Gary says judging yourself is the worst infliction you could make on yourself. It's anti-consciousness to yourself.
Yes.
And what if like vulnerable? Well, okay, so Right Voice for You, to me, it's like being you, a being you class on steroids, because you really do have to step into all of you. And what if this wrongness we're making about our vulnerability was really a strongness? Because have you noticed that when you're actually willing to be you, warts and all, how that really, I don't know, it's like you pull your walls and barriers down and you're just being all of you. And it's irresistible to other people when they can see that you're willing to go there. So there's this willingness to actually have that vulnerability with yourself, And so the 5 elements, what we have, vulnerability, trust, allowance, gratitude.
An honor.
An honor, yeah. Would it be an honoring of yourself to actually allow yourself to be you? And for me, when you have those 5 elements, you can't help but be happy.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you're truly 100% you and in allowance of who you be. No apologies.
Yeah.
So me at my door now. That's kind of strange. So maybe I'll just don't say it.
Yeah.
All right. So I love it. So you guys, you work these tools with yourself with these 5 elements.
Mm-hmm.
And have you noticed, like, before marriage and after marriage, what that looks like, what it looked like for you?
Yeah, I think, I guess we've been together almost 25 years.
Getting there, yes, quarter of a century.
And, we've had our rocky areas. I mean, there were times in the past where it was like, is this going to continue? Is this really what we both want? And since we've both started using the tools of Access Consciousness, there is such a level of space and allowance for each other that has allowed us to truly be us.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan. So what can you tell us in your experience before Access, after Access, in this creationship you have with the lovely Deborah?
Sure. So, I mean, there's been a lot of things, as Deborah was talking, there's a lot in my mind that was just kind of hitting me and pinging me all over the place here. So, I mean, it's kind of like this. So, everybody has so much judgment, limitations on what they can or can't do. I think one of the biggest, for us and for me personally, one of the biggest things that really has made a major impact for us, just using the tools and getting more into access and having that space that Deb was just describing about, talking about, is really just that allowance of, letting go and letting your husband, wife, your companion, your friend, whoever that may be, your partner, to just be who they be. I mean, what else is possible in allowing someone be who they truly be? And I mean, like, let them be who they are, right? And don't put constrictions or judgments or limitations on them and what time they have to be home or what they can or can't do. And, and I think operating and functioning from that space and that point of view is just, it's been there's been a lot of gratefulness and a lot of gratitude that I have just from that space, because I think it lets things just kind of fizzle out. Anything that was there, such as judgment or thoughts, feelings, and emotions, whatever they may be, just kind of dissipates. So I think, I know that for us, number one, allowing each other to be who they be and go do what they want to do in this world to create a relationship moving forward. And it's not just a relationship, it's really, relationships suck, period. Okay, and a marriage can suck ass too.
Tell me how you really feel.
So I really believe, knowing what I know now, that it's really a creationship that people really need to take a good hard look at. What is it that they're creating? What do you want in your life? What do you desire? So, and if you can create that with someone who's allowing you to be you moving forward, that's kind of what we have and what we're trying to do here, is that, what do you really want out of your life? And what can we do for each other to contribute to our lives to keep moving forward? I mean, like Deb was saying, she's using the tools of access and working less. And I'm working a little bit more, which is fine, but we're also creating massive business opportunities out there.
You win, Deborah.
She deserves it. So, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth where she worked and then I worked, and then, just kids and scenarios and moving around, and we've done it all and been through a lot. So it's like, we've just decided that, what else can we create moving forward together rather than independently? Can we split up and break up and go in different directions? Absolutely. And if Deb chooses that, or if I choose that, we'll be kind of miffed a little bit, or in that space of weirdness, but, we would probably give each other more than enough allowance to be able to do that. The thing with us is that we definitely want to, our goal is to move forward together and have it all. What else is possible for us? How much more can we have? How much more can we create? And we really work our best to kind of make that our reality.
I love it. Wow. Well, that sounds like a good note to end on, I think. Thank you so much for being my Get Happy podcast guests today, and for your generosity of spirit that I got to enjoy. And I'm certain our listeners have gotten many pearls of wisdom from this. Yes. Guess what? Your relationship doesn't have to be crappy.
Right.
It can actually be happy. And so, if you want to get your happy on, I do facilitate relationships done different classes. And perhaps that could be, and that has no prerequisites. So you could have never done anything in Access Consciousness before and take a class like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From any facilitator that you can get online and see who's a facilitator maybe near you, or I'm teaching the classes online. And do you guys have any classes coming up that you want to share? Or where they can find you? Where are these people going to find you if they're looking for you?
You can find both of us on accessconsciousness.com. We both have personal profiles on there. I do have a website, and it's just my name, Deborahsbrzycki.com.
Okay, you might want to spell Brzycki.
Oh.
There's a spelling test at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I couldn't get it right. So
I know no one can ever spell it. It's BRZYCKI.com.
Just like it sounds.
Just like it sounds.
Make a rap tune of that.
We have been doing monthly bars classes, monthly bar swaps, and I am scheduling a foundation. I have not put it up on the calendar yet, but I will be doing a foundation most likely mid to late July.
Possibly August, but we'll see how the
Mhm.
schedule unfolds.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this will get on YouTube quicker than it will on Spotify. So
Yeah.
if it's before, and we're in 2021, y'all, in case you're watching this 10 years down the road.
Yes.
We haven't aged a bit. All right. So very cool. Thank you again for being my guests. And for you guys out there in podcast land, if you liked this conversation, please check the like button down there and share with those you think could get something from this. And thanks for listening. And until next time, ciao, ciao for now. Bye.